those years, the only firms that could give you an opportunity to be trained as an accountant were not the big firms, international firms. Typically, there were firms that were owned by Afrikaners who were doing audits in the homelands. And they had to train Africans to work in the homelands.
Yeah.
So if you look at the first crop of accountants, all of us would have been trained in Umtata because we're doing work for the homeland, government in the Transkei or Ciskei or KwaZulu-Natal in my case. So those were the first batch of accountants. They came from there.
They were hiring you guys because of the language, you reckon?
No, we were hired because we had to serve the homelands. We had to speak to our people.
Okay.
And do audits, obviously, of the homeland system.
Okay.
Right?
It wasn't necessarily because they liked you guys and needed to give you the opportunity. It was more functional for them.
Yeah. Keep the system of homelands going.
Okay.
So we've got to train these people who must understand how it works.
Okay.
How businesses and state-owned or homeland businesses at the time work. It was bus companies, breweries, and things like that. So that's what we audited. There were no black businesses that we could audit. But, for me, just having gone through that experience of working for an Afrikaans firm and so on, it was important for me particularly to create opportunities for Africans in an environment where they could feel like they were at home, because it wasn't home. It was an Afrikaans firm, and very often you were working in an environment that was really hostile at the time.
Yeah.
It was really hostile. I mean, I can give you a couple of examples, such as you'd go and do audits in Newcastle or Ladysmith or Port Shepstone or whatever, Empangeni and so on, in KZN, and you're going with your white juniors, right, that are junior to you in the place of work. And they would go and sleep in a nice hotel, and you're sleeping in a caravan because you're not allowed to sleep in a hotel because you're black, So, and there were certain things, even at work, you were not exposed to certain things because you were denied, like if there was a company, a state-owned company, maybe a brewery or bus company or whatever it was, you could not, as a black manager in that firm, for instance, do audits of salaries of white people. You just couldn't, you were not allowed to look at that. So that to bring in your partner, who's an Afrikaner, to look at those aspects of audit, which means your training is actually limited, right? Because there are certain things that you're not allowed to have a look at. So that's why starting Sizwe Company was really important, to say, well, we've got to change this. We need to train our people properly. We need to create an environment where people feel they belong.
They are human.
And get trained, properly. That's why, that's how Sizwe Company, which is now SNG Grant Thornton, was actually founded on those principles. And more than 30 years on, the firm still operates according to those principles. It's a black firm, proudly so, trains black people. And of course, you're going to have white people and other races and so on. But the ethos and the culture is really, really important. And that's why it's important for us as Africans to create institutions where we belong, where the DNA of those institutions is us, is what we believe in terms of our culture, our languages, the ways of doing things and so on. And we feel like we belong. It's really important.